Welcome to Swara.io Founder Series today. Swara.io is a space for entrepreneurs to come and network, connect, and build. Our entrepreneurs are from the continent of Africa and the diaspora. We are a partner of AFADAO, which is Africans Funding Africans, and we're very excited today to announce our new speaker. Her name is Nimo Mathenge. I have to do the typical, African greeting and excitement. So, Nimo, welcome to our founder series today. I will ask you if you can just tell us a little bit about who is Nimo before we get started in the rest of the sessions for today, questions for today.
Thank you so much, Kabuki. I'm really excited to be here. I am so sorry that I was running a little late, but here I am. I'm excited that organizations like you totally promote founders and entrepreneurs like myself. I am a filmmaker. I am a teacher. I'm a producer, I'm a director, I'm a writer. So I think when you live long with many years, you kind of start wearing different hats of businesses, and a lot of your experience then make who you are. I'm recently married. I'm always proud to say that. So I'm also a wife. Not yet a mother, though I am a mother through extension to all my nieces and nephews that I have. So that's who I am. I love telling African stories. I'm originally from Kenya, so I love telling African stories. I'm consistently looking for stories. To just today, a couple of hours ago, I was talking to somebody. It almost felt like an autobiography about their lives. And what stood out for me today is that he comes from a polygamous marriage, a polygamous family, and he's the son of a third wife, and there were 30 kids. So of course, the filmmaker in me started coming up with what kind of story is this? So from Africa, we have so many stories. And so that really channels me. I love creativity. I'm a big person promoting creativity, advocating for arts education. And that's where my teacher educator comes in. So I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, arts educator. I promote arts, African arts, visual arts, media arts, dance, music. So I started a school here in Kenya that heads arts. So again, I am wearing all those different hats. In a nutshell, that's who I am.
And that's wonderful because that's going to, I guess you just went into what I was thinking about asking next, which is you're here because of ZanArtts, and that is your baby. So why don't you tell us what is ZanArtts?
So ZanArtts is a school, a high school, an arts high school based in Kenya. We train young people from the ages between 12, 13, up to like 19, sometimes 20-year-olds. And I say we because I have a team, and I never consider myself, even when you found something, you never consider yourself as the one who's running everything by yourself. I have a team, and we started this art school in Kenya. And it's an African art school, the first of its kind, that teaches arts education. So we start from a very young age to equip, to skill, to promote, to empower, to enhance the arts education. For very many years, we have struggled as a continent trying to identify where education fits in with the arts. And so we saw a gap that was there in Africa, where a lot of our young people, even myself, when I went to school here in Africa, we were not really given the foundation in the arts. And yet our culture is artistic. We tell stories through sounds, through dance, through creation visually, but yet it is not taught in the schools. So when we saw we had that gap, we decided we're going to start an art school. Usually the art schools are very popular in the West, like in the US or in Europe. But we realized in Africa, we do not have that space or that hub where it's incorporated with the education system. So we started ZanArtts, and that's what ZanArtts is about.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, are there other art schools that you have seen, based in Kenya or other parts of Africa? Like, I'm just trying to see how prevalent this is because you talked about it being something that's more common in the West.
There isn't. When I did my research, about, I want to say 3 to 5 years ago is when I really started doing my research in Africa. And the reason I started doing my research is because I was teaching at an art school in California called Orange County School of the Arts. And I began to sit with the founder and the departmental heads to figure out how does this work. And I used that and I started doing my research in Africa as a whole. I started, of course, in Kenya, where I grew up, then also extended it to South Africa, because South Africa is very big with entertainment, to Nigeria, and realized there's no art school, usually the art high school. So we have art schools, but art schools are the level of the universities. In high school, they're taught as an extracurricular activity, as clubs after school, but we do not have full-time art high schools. And that's where we realize we are lacking a lot. By the time our students or our young people get to the university level, they are sometimes discouraged and they have no idea where to start from because they do not have a strong foundation, or they find themselves really being disconnected with the working world because there are some foundations that need to be laid when they're really young. And that's where we realized we have to start that from the high school level. So to answer your question, none. We don't have a full-time arts high school in Africa. So this is one.
My goodness, that is amazing. So you have actually started the very first in a continent of 1.4 billion people, the very first African art school.
Correct. And it's scary when you say that, because you're thinking, oh my gosh, this being a trailblazer sometimes. And yeah, it's never glamorous. It's never glamorous. It's never easy. It almost puts a fear in you because you then start realizing, gosh, is it up to me to equip these young people to do this? But that is the reality of it. We are starting in a very virgin land, very fertile land, but it's virgin. It's a bush for us. There's nothing that exists that we can hang on, hold on, learn from, that we're just making the steps slowly, gradually from what we are experimenting and what we know. Thank God I have that blueprint that I brought from schools like Orange County School of the Arts, and also interacting with other high school principals in the US that kind of gives me a model. But as you know, each country, each continent has its own culture. So it's very different. What works in one country might not work in another country. So it's really green for us. We're really just going in there, headbutting or everything that we can.
That's amazing. I mean, you've explained a little bit about like how did you start? I mean, you've talked about, you know, there's blueprints from other places, but really you have to create your own. You have to recreate, deconstruct, I guess, right, and figure out, you know, how do we do this? So how did you do that?
Kabuki, to be honest with you, we are still discovering. So this school started, we had an open house in 2020. The organization was actually started in 2020 is when we registered the school. And when I say register the school, the process of even also getting the certification is a process, is what we realized. It's not walking to an office and get your form signed and say, yay, I have certification. It is a process. So we are still in the process. But getting a location, looking for the students, getting the facilitators, getting the equipment, all that started with an open house session that we had in end of 2020 in October. Then come January 2021, we had our first class, started in January, I remember it's the 9th, and we started our first semester, our first class with, that time we had about 6 students, and we have 5 departments: theater arts, dance, music, media arts, and visual arts. So our kids are spread out through each of the departments. So it was a little bit of, okay, who is coming, who's not coming, waiting, and when they come, they don't. It's been a journey from day one.
Wow. Wow, I mean, that's just such an inspiration for even to have the guts to do something like that. And even to think about, you know, what's the African mindset around arts? What do they think? And how do you even overcome those hurdles? Because I knew growing up, art is not something that was acceptable to study. I mean, it was just seen like afadhali sports. I mean, a better sports than thinking about, you know, arts. So, I mean, how did you go about convincing parents or showing them that there's value in the arts, and knowing very well that the entire continent, the average age in our continent is 20 years. So that's the age that's people want art. I mean, please let me stop talking. I want to hear from you.
No, it's great because, as you know, the work of being an educator is continuous. I have days I leave, I'm visiting homes at 6 p.m. for dinner because I need to sit with the father and the mother and convince them, or rather, usually it's the father I'm convincing. The mother is usually convinced because the mother is closer to the child gets excited, they call me, they find out, they go talk to the mother wants more information, then the mother calls me. And once we have a conversation with the mothers, I'm sorry if there are any men listening and your fathers, but mothers are usually quicker to jump on board than the fathers are. I have to physically go to their house, sit with the father or sit with the parents and explain to them. And especially the question that keeps coming up is, what will my child become? Who will my child become? And that question, sometimes I get befuddled because I ask them, your child will become whoever your child becomes. This is the world. And we're evolving with technology. Jobs are coming that never existed before. Production today, film production and television in Africa is not what it was when I was going to school. It is way more sophisticated. Dance is way more sophisticated than it was in school. We now have music videos that people are making money from. We have gaming where people are actually making hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of Kenyan shillings. It's a world that exists, but somehow you find that as parents, they're still being left behind. So I have to catch them up. I have to educate them. I have to show them the curriculum that we're following because our school follows curriculum. We have very good facilitators, some who are doctors in the arts. Wow. Seriously, there's doctorate in arts. And so we've created curriculum that we follow, and I have to sit with them and tell them, year one, this is what your daughter will do or your son will do. Year two, year three, year four, this is how we'll build their portfolios. This is the work that we'll give them for internship, and this is how we'll guide them in applying if they want to go for higher education. We'll help them apply to the schools. This is how we'll get them to the work market. If they want to become entrepreneurs, we will have them shadow. Right now, we've created, at the moment, we're developing a 9-month program for 2 of our students who are in the transition of high school to university, and they do not want to yet go to the university. And this 9-year program, we're going to be shadowing a director, a producer and a writer. We're going to have them do writing workshop and directing workshops. So it's things like that. And so we are going to build a portfolio for them. So that's what our school provides. So we have to sit and educate the parent. Of course, the kids are usually, they know what they want. They hear it, they get it, they want to come. So it's a lot of educating the parent, a lot of convincing the parent, a lot of trying to give them the vision of what it will be, even though it's something that is kind of evolving as it's going, because that's what education is. That's education evolves. Yeah.
That's amazing. So really your client is a student, but just thinking from an entrepreneur standpoint, but your client is actually the parent, because that's who you have to sell to, but your product is the education for the kids.
Yeah. Correct. And it's so funny because we always are going back and forth with our team wondering, are we convincing the parent or convincing the student? Because we have also had cases where there's one parent I remember who was a dancer and she was passionate about dancing, and she came and brought her daughter and she said, my daughter has to be a dancer. But after 4 or 5 classes with that child, the child actually wanted to sing. So we have to come back and be like, okay, so here we are again. We are going between the parent and the child, and we have to, our clients keep changing interjectively. So yeah.
So I have a question for you. If there's somebody who wants to go into film or wants to do what you've done, what do they have to study? And closely following that question, I want to hear your journey that you had up until now.
I get that question all the time. What do I study? What do I study? Kabuki arts are very tricky. Arts are, I don't want to say they're passion, but they are. I don't want to say it's academic, but they are. I don't want to say it's skilled, but they are. It encompasses everything. When you look at the arts, there is no industry that doesn't have the arts, be it finance, be it math, whatever you do, be it even doctors. They have to apply the creativeness in them. So for a filmmaker, and this is why in each department we guide them. I'll talk from the part of a filmmaker. For a filmmaker, it involves skills where you're using the camera work and there's the actual skills you have to do. There's the writing skills where you have to figure out how I'm going to write the story. So there's a storytelling skill. And then there's the business side of it, which is a producing skill. So you're interchangeably learning all of them. So when you're doing business, that's where you get accounting, and you have to learn that side of what is business, not just accounting, but you know what business is about, everything that encompasses business. When you're doing your writing, there's a lot of reading that you have to do. There's a lot of research that you have to do. There's a lot of writing that you have to do when it comes to this technical skill about it. So there's a lot of going out, holding the camera, understanding the mechanism of how things work when you're editing, when you're shooting. So we first lay the foundation for that child, and we expose them to all of them, and then we slowly grow in each one of them. So if it's the skills, we start from there. And if a child is interested in one particular side of it, we encourage them to grow from that. So that is just in the media side of things. I've just talked in the filmmaking. In music is a different thing. Are you talking about vocal? Are you talking about the writing? Are we talking about the playing? In dance is the same thing. Are we talking about
because of a problem, beautyforkids@gmail.com.
So sorry, sorry, that's a crazy distraction. I don't know how to sort it out. This computer, it's very old and temperamental. That's now part of its bad behavior. I'm sorry, Nimo, please go ahead.
It's okay. It's okay. So for each department, I always tell the parent, it's an education. You're following a certain curriculum. So it's not one thing I can tell you. Like if you asked a doctor, you're married to a doctor, Kabuki, if you ask them, what do you need to learn? There's so much they will start you with. I remember this one person who told me, show me how to be a filmmaker because I want to tell the story about my family. And I asked them, what do you do? And she told me, I'm a financial analyst. And I told her, show me how to be a financial analyst because I want to also be successful. And she laughed and she said, it's going to take years. And I told her the same thing. Even with my work and journey, you can't pinpoint, but there are all those aspects that we expose the students to tell them. Yeah.
Wow.
I hope that answers your question.
I'm going to ask you, there's just so much, just two last questions, and we're already eating into the time for the questions. But here's two questions. You have met and worked with Oprah Winfrey and Beyoncé. Please, we just want a snippet of that story, please.
My experiences that people get fascinated about. I haven't met Beyoncé. Oprah, I worked for Oprah Winfrey Network. I've met a lot of celebrities. I've worked for Disney. I've worked for Paramount, Sony. I usually tell people.
Like who? Want to hear who? Who are the celebrities that you met?
Ellen DeGeneres. I mean, there's so many. Some of them I remember them when I'm in my sleep. I was like, I'm usually like, oh yeah, I did work with so and so. Robert Duvall, Oprah, Tyler Perry, Brandy. I mean, there's so many. I mean, when you're in that world, it's not, you even stop getting fascinated because it's work. And I always tell my students, when you're working in a business, you're not fascinated by the thing that is there. It becomes like any other job. It's the hard work that you're taking there. These people are also at work. So they're doing the very best that they can do at work as well. There's so many of these studios. I've worked in a ton of studios in the room with a lot of all these great women and men. But what the essence is, how much of that have I learned and how much of that can I impact to the world and how much of that has made an impact, which is what is important. Yeah.
The last question is, what if you were to see the ideal world for ZanArtts? What does that look like with teachers, with students, what is your dream?
Oh my gosh, the question I love the most. I envision a high school of excellence in Africa where we are producing like coins, students who are artists at heart, who are telling their stories, who are making money, wealthy. I'm not even going to lie. I want my students to make money. I want my students to be able to create jobs in Africa. I want our school to be able to shift the economy of Africa, where we are producing powerful leaders who are going out into the world and telling stories that make a difference. The Christian Anampios of today, the Oprah Winfreys of today. Those are the kind of students I want to have in my school who are going to come out to make a difference, not just in Africa, but in the world. I want people to look at Africa as the hub of creativity because of our school. I want people to come and look for African films from our school because we're producing that kind of talent, we're producing that kind of creativity. I want our school to be able to have facilitators and teachers who are passionate and who are also growing and being sharpened in their art. We have, our teachers are teaching artists. So even within themselves, they're constantly acting and working and drawing and stuff. One of our facilitators went to the Netherlands to be part of this amazing fellowship. And I remember when she told me, I'm like, go, I'm happy for you when you flourish. So I would love our school to grow to that level where we're producing excellent, exquisite people in the hundreds, in the thousands who come out and make a difference and shift the economy and make a difference in our African arts.
Let's consider that done. It's going to happen because you've prepared yourself over 25 years. You've worked around the world, worked with the best of them.
Amen.
And have started the very first African high school in the entire continent. Amazing. Now, I'm going to give, we only have 5 minutes, unfortunately, opportunity for anybody to ask a question. Please be quick. Unfortunately, we are still a bit cheap. We have the Zooms that cut you off at 40 minutes. So if you get cut off, we have put our links in the chat where you can find out more information about us. Please follow us. Please ask your questions. I don't know who wants to go first. Just unmute and ask. Guys.
Thank you for that question. My tips would be keep moving, keep creating, keep shooting films. Nowadays, we have a lot of tech in our hands. This is a phone, but this is also a camera. If you can shoot whatever it is that you need to shoot, shoot. If you can create as much content as you can, do it. If you can write and write and write, do it. See, film, like I mentioned, has so many aspects to it. Whatever avenue of the film industry you feel strongest to do it. Even being a manager, who are the people you look out there? What are the kind of films that you see? Being a critic is a career path also that we talk about. Maybe there are films you like analyzing and you like giving comments. Create a blog about that and start commenting on these films and start creating what that is. So pick whatever area you love doing and you're continuing to do, and do it to the excellence. Commit to yourself every single day to do something that is going to sharpen your skill. You don't have to wait to go to the NYUs or the AFIs or the UCLAs or the USCs of this world, or to sit next to Lucas or Films or Disney. Where you are right now, do something creative that is towards your business or towards your craft.
Thank you. Great answer. Great question. Gladys has asked the question to the chat. I'm curious to know what happens to a student once they graduate. Let's say they did film.
One of the things that our school promises is to give, not to hold your hand to the very end. We will guide you through the industry. We will take you, like I just mentioned, our students go through internships. We make sure they are working during the holidays. We guide them building their portfolios. We sit down with them. We ask them, do you want to go to school after this, higher education, or do you want to go to work? And we try and build that possibility for them. We show them all the areas and the job opportunities that are there. Being in Africa is one thing that we're really trying to push, is to have them stay in Africa and build Africa. I know people look at me and like, but you've gone and worked for Beyoncé or you've worked for Disney. Why are you letting me stay here? But we don't realize what a treasure it is here. Oprah would want to come and work on a movie here in Africa. She would want to come and tell a story. Stay and tell your stories here. So what we do with our students is we encourage them, we expose them to all the writers and all our African playwrights, all our African music and dance and history. first of all, to give them a pride of who they are, and then to also encourage them to build their business that way. So we are consistently holding their hand through the arts education, because that is part of the arts education. So not only building their skills and their foundation, but also walking them through to what will look like in the future.
Wow, fantastic. Nimo, if you don't mind, please type your socials in the chat so people can follow. We'll also share them on our social media.
Sure.
Everybody here who's interested can find out. There's another question here from Eunice, and she's asking, do you have a branch in Nairobi, Kenya?
We are actually based in Nairobi, Kenya. That's where we are based. That's our main branch, yes. So our school is based here in Kenya, in Nairobi. I say here because that's where I am. We're in Westlands right now. We don't have a location that is permanent. So we are renting space at Sankara and also at the village, the Karen village. So those are the two places that we have. But I will type our social. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook at ZanArtts. And there's a phone number contact. You can always reach me or email me, and we can sit and talk, and you can meet our teachers.
We have less than a minute left, like I said. Please, I will share your questions with Nimo and share with you afterwards. But fantastic. We're so proud of you starting the very first African high school for the arts, ZanArtts, entire continent. I can't believe nobody in the continent has thought of this and done this. You are the first. People have questions about what you did with Oprah, your work with her, and long-term impact of our school on African culture. There's so many questions, we don't have the time. Next time we will have more money and be able to subscribe to a longer video, because I feel like we need to do a part 2 with you. It was too short.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kabuki. Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for coming and logging in to share with me my story. Thank you.